This is part 2 of my suspension overhaul on my 2007 Toyota Tundra. Now I'm going to be installing my Bilstein 6112s. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make some marks on the cam lobes of the lower control arm, and then I'm going to loosen the nuts down there, but not fully remove it. I just want enough play in it, and then going to loosen these two bolts down here to allow the lower control arm to swing a little lower so that I can slide the coilover out. Oy, oy, oy. So I've got the jack underneath the rotor itself, just kind of supporting that up, allowing the lower control arm to fully separate and hang down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on removing that lower bolt holding the strut in, and maybe I can swing it out of the way. Okay, lower bolt's out. There we go, which allows the top to come out. I'm trying not to scratch into my new stuff. Actually, we'll just take it right out the bottom. Nice. So here's everything that came with the kit. Obviously, the strut. I bought some new top hats. I'll put a link in the description, kind of where I got all this stuff. On the strut, we've got basically where the spring perch is going to be, along with this sits on there. This being the lowest setting, I'm going to notch it all the way up because Mama didn't raise no bitch. So. I've referenced a couple of videos. Dirty Deeds kind of shows an assembly of all this stuff. I'll link that as well. He basically takes these and admits he doesn't know where they go. The Bilstein kit came with its own set of washers, one a little more curved than the other, and the top hats came with the same, so I'm just going to discard one. Got one little bushing, one rubber bushing, the top nut, the two washers, the top hat, the strut. I got the spring still in the package right here. Ouch. There we go. All the way up, all the way seated. Okay, so the proper order of assembly that I've gotten from watching a couple of videos is that we've already raised the spring up. We have the purchase on there. Obviously, it makes sense that the spring sits on there. Next up top, we've got the bushing, and you can see kind of where this little recessed part right here will sit down right on there. Sits there. And then you got these two washers, one being a little more curved, one being a little more flat. So the one that's a little more flat, it still kind of bows out. You can see it's a little dish this way, a little convex up there. If you look at the top hat, I believe the more convex side is what's going to rest against this bushing of the top hat right there. So we're going to take this one, we're going to put that right on top of that bushing, and we're going to assume that I would then insert the spring, but because I cannot assemble all this stuff with the spring on it, we're just going to exclude it for now. So we got this on here, that's sitting there, the spring would go on, then we take the top hat, noting that it does say out right here, out away from the truck. That would sit down on top of that. We take the other rubber bushing on top of that. The other washer, the more curved one, looks like the more convex side, or the dish side, goes up. This sits down on top of that bushing, and then the nut would thread down on top of that, obviously with the spring in here. So I'm going to attempt to kind of assemble all this stuff. I'll probably put the top hat in and then try to assemble this with the spring on it up through that, and then use the weight of the truck to compress the spring. I've seen another video on YouTube. Again, I'll link it below just so you can kind of, if you're going to attempt this, you can kind of reference some other stuff other than just my video. So here we go. Also, one last thing, the orientation of the spring. Obviously there's an up and a down. If you look at this, you can read Bilstein on it. Obviously this will be up the correct way, as opposed to this being upside down. So okay, so I didn't record it, but I put the top hat up in there, tighten it down. Okay. Damn, we're actually pretty close. If I can get this. Well, I am a big fat failure. I took these to my buddy's shop and ended up having them assembled. Well, I assembled them at his shop, but regardless, I could not figure this out on my own. Here they are. There's a lot of spring tension on these things. I'm kind of glad that I went this route anyway, but I would love to see someone put these 6112s on the top setting and attempt and complete what I was trying, because I just couldn't do it. Gentle taps. There we go. Okay, bolt is through. This is all lined up. The hub itself is just to move a little. I'm gonna raise the lower control arm. Okay, kind of get everything buttoned up. Now I'm going to start putting some red thread locker on and start torquing some stuff down here. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is do the hub attachment to the lower control arm, and fortunately that's only 221 foot-pounds, so we'll get started on that. Jeez Louise. God. Okay. Lower coilover bolt is a measly 144. Okay. Double check. how quickly you can go when you got it figured out. It took me about 50 minutes to get the old control arm off, put the new one in, and remove the old coilover. Probably have spent a total of at least half a day running around trying to get some parts, eventually getting these assembled, and then getting back and kind of troubleshooting my way through this. So anyway, okay, everything's in, just needs to be torqued down. A little bit of thread locker, torque it down. That's it. Overall time was a little over an hour. Ridiculous.